I say, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov. In advance, we will move between the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, and the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. We will plan, as you know. At the Mar-a-Lago on the Kyiv Nettle, literally for a kilka godin, you can wake up, you can tell. You can get all the sides and do active. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky in front of Tim Yak arrived before the arrival of the staff, having visited Canada. Having been transferred to the Prime Minister of the Central Region by Michael Carney, as well as to the Special Rozmova by the European leaders. The Prime Minister Kannadi Ta is represented by NATO. I have a lot of details about the rosemary. I know that we have a wide range of roses and a wide range of European leaders. Premier Minister of Poland Donald Tusk Pісля розмови зі Зеленським підкреслив, що ключовими мають бути guarantee безпеки for Ukraine. Yaki Tusk calling the specific inady enemy. Well, I also, як вдалося розмова Zelensky with the European leaders, having seized the President of Finland Alexander Stupa. I in the order of the Nimikini Bureau was released to the special communique, in which the seat was opened. As a leader of the European Union and NATO, they sang Volodymyr Zelensky at their wedding in front of the audience, Yak Bagato to Vazhe, Virushalnaya Zustrichu is Donald Trump. Zelensky himself is in Canada, if he has become a journalist, calling Piat Golovne Blokiv Pitin, Yaki Vin Kotiv by. Talking about Donald Trump. The first block of power is a guarantee of security, and we have received a staff of Mayat Nadati for Ukraine. I'm here, of course, I'm waiting to finish the important food. With what rank of key guarantee without a guarantee will be realizavaticia. Ichi will mean key. The guarantors of Bezpek, those who have received the staff, will be ready to take a mediocre fate from the confliction at once. As a Russian Federation for the theoretical completion of the Russian-Ukrainian way to grab. Rishenya about the new attack on ours. Ichomu, Yaksko Spolukini Shtati, not to be afraid of such a conflation of the nuclear overburden, the stink of the weather, cannot take the fate of the whole conflation. Well fed, on Yak Nema Legichno Vidpovidi. The second block of Pitane si Garant Bezpika, Yaki Mazit Beauty Naden Ukraine Everpiskimi Krani. Vieski Vimir, Naskilki I Rozumiu, Mova Id about the presence of a European Vieski contingent on the territory of Ukraine. I will hand over no protection for our land. I'll tell you the same thing, if the Russian Federation does not wait for a new document. I will transfer the presence of a regional member of NATO to the Ukrainian land. That's why I would like to be reasonable. The participants of these shifts are spiraling if they negotiate a meal. They turn on the need to be at home with the Russian Federation overnight. I need to negotiate a meal. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home with the Russian Federation. I don't want to be at home. Become a part of the household of the Russian Federation. Site wanted bees Rozumiti. The third moment is C Vieski Vimir, that C Підтримка Ukraini Pісля Закінчення Російсько-Української війни. I'm all right now. Nisha is a topic for Rozmovi, that is why you have a wonderful understanding, because the Meta of the Russian Federation is a kind of state of Ukraine, and the best prednanium of the Kalashny territory to Russia, to be filled with Nezminoyu, if it were not completed. Rosiesko-Ukrainska vina, I isnuvanya Ukrainska Derzavi, Pісля Sayavini will not be constant, and be shvij for all the preparation to the end of the day, 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 to the end of the day. To the end of the day, 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 to the end of the day. See lay down in order to be able to guarantee without a mortgage. We are talking about Yakimi. I'm here now, maybe Zupinidi. Moscow has been reconquered. Now the Ukrainian territory is for being a Russian state. The Ukraine is strong. It is strong in the Viskovogo Vidnosheni. Ukraine, as it is possible to inflict a nuclear superposition, such a blow. As there will be no compensations to impose a nuclear strike on the Ukrainian territory. It is possible for Ukraine to see the 21st century, and not to be transformed into the territory of Russia. There are no more possibilities in nature on a New Year's Day. It is possible, of course, to talk about the theoretical rozklad of the Russian Federation on the okremi powers, ailmi meo pamutati. Show that power, I want to get involved in Europe. The European territory, I shvij for everything to be filled with a nuclear potential, all one will be to introduce the European Ukraine as a part of the territory of Maybutno European Russia. And in the third Asian territories of Tilka Pijtoft Roziu Evropejska to revenge for the Rakunuk of Ukraine. So show Nyaki rozklad. The treasure of Ukraine is not a panacea to ensure that it is not repeated on a larger scale. Tim knows better than me that if a part of the population of Russia is all alive in the same European part, I will be ready to fight for those. If they stink, they will be in their own historical territories. And in the future they will be in the best territories. Torzi heim peoples Russi bud more Zogastavit Revankist Nastro in Rosieski Federation, ALC all theory mabith disators. Perhaps, I don't strike for us SU, skilki for proroku, that will be the participants for this reason. Velika wine. And for us, it is important for you, as a vision of the new year. So that we could have a vision of the future for the coming generations of Ukraine. I am from a strong Ukraine, maybe by the way a strong citizen, in order that the war does not happen again. This is an absolutely obvious point. Chetverty block, that Spiritsia obgaverivali Zelensky as Trump, see plan Dobrobutu Ziv's name documents. Maybe on the Uvazi Zalashenya on the Vidbudova of Ukraine up to 800 milliardiv dolariv. The gate of the Siloy low funds for the Sogo. Well, after all, I'm telling you, now it's absolutely parakasna rozmova, that now at once it's not possible to say any real things. Now the Russian-Ukrainian Vina is getting closer. Before your financial situation. I want, Z in Shogo side, it is possible, it is difficult to get a little zrozumidi. So I can get a piece of zrobidi for Ukraine, Z investitsinoi point of Zur. What is it? That's why Rozmova herself is talking about inquisitiveness before giving guarantees. The point on the right is not that President Trump is talking about those American investments. That are the best guarantees for Putin's demonstrative strike on the American factory at Mukachevo. Yakmi zuz rozumimo, żadni Amerikański inwestycji, not Nyakimi guarantors bezpieka for Ukraine. Putin absolutely calmly znishit biak American capital, bida, devin yoma bi zavezadi, I navit not be about think. El yaksho Americans really want to invest in Ukraine, stink may yourself pudbody about bezpieka for our country. See Zvorotny variant. Potrebna bezpieka for the American capsulo, yak moznas needy tilki path seriosno silovo confronts, see Rosieskoyu Federacy. I before the speech, kia confrontation siege not z yak heat. Donald Trump, obviously, bahaviticity of his friend, a clever Putin, a very energetic rink. Ivin absolutely not prodi, shab robidi see Ukrainian hands, znishu Rosieski tankry so-called tin fleet. Zmenshu moglivosti Rosieskogo sail naphtha, marginalizuyu Rosiu yak energetic new power. There, Demova eyed about pennies, such people like Donald Trump, have no friends, but they are inters. And here it's important, because our interesi I interesi Trump spifpadali. And interesi Trump I interesi Putin did not spifpadali prenomni, if you move about the energetic rink. And then you can also talk about Yakis investitsi, about Yakis the guarantor of a mortgage free for the American capital in Ukraine. You can become a guarantor of a mortgage free for Ukraine. That is required, so for this reason come to pillows. Well, IP8, see plan of the post-wedding days. Shows Robidi, Shab versus Chi Plani Zaprechuvali. I think, show C Navit inact require skazati. As a matter of principle, here we will discuss the future of Zelensky. So that the Russians will speculate on the lack of clarity of the point, be it to please you peacefully. Firm vi pamutate, yak bulozi min skim please. There, General, 1s perch punctu bulo vivdina okupatsi vsks okupawane territories of Donbas. In order dwellers there could pass for the average viber. And Rosiani, yak vi sea kind, humming, pamutit, robili everything is possible, shab niaki vibori not vidbulisia. I shab nyak Ukrainian control over the central territory, is not buv vidnovlenia. I'm going to steal that stink. I did not think to turn over the territory of Ukraine during the payback day. That's why the mythologia, we thought their inkorporuvati in Ukraine, now zupinidi our European integration, Ela si pavna myachnia. There are no such plans for the Russians. El yaki buli plani. Do not allow Ukrainian control over these territories to be renewed. I stink all our see point about Vividenya their Viesk z okupavani territory skipped. And they tried to spend a little time their Vibori, pit under their own control. Show not vidpovidalo suti Minsky land. I about the whole thing, it is very difficult to remember at once. Rose. It is difficult, because it is absolutely clear, it is possible, theoretically. To be able to write a letter to please the world with Russia and Ukraine, it is clever, it is difficult, because it is so good. Bula Chitka. According to the inscription, the first point, the other, the third, the fourth, the stink of the Buli after the last. The stink of the Buli is not possible to Bulo Minyati mists. So what does the fact that show C, series no, to dosit theme for Rosmoe, I think Chauvin got booty, so Rosmoa Delton. Ale, let me tell you, it's up to you to get ready to call not Tilky Zelensky, until you actively get ready to Putin. I me see Siogodny so much have been beaten, that's why the Russian president. Znovu dressed in camouflage, Znovu zavshis in Yakum command post. Znovu Visluhovuvav Ochilnik General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation General Valery Gerasimov. Yak Svidti. Vituvav Yoma about the payback of the silver Gallipol. I, in principle, for what purpose should I rob? Shab show all chi murni peremovini, a demonstration of your good will on the day before Donald Trump. And in principle, yam vyasichi rozmovi z Ukraino, absolutely not potribny. Yaksho Kiev not bazhai virishidi all the world, Rosia virishidas zavdanya viaskim shlyak, saying Putin. Tempi z ruhuvanam tempiv. Rosia offensives at Zitsakavlanist Rosi have viva denis broina forces of Ukraine, z zanyati them territory, to be reduced to zero. Well, Todi Vinica is well fed. Yaksho Zatsakavlanist Rosi at viva denis broina forces of Ukraine, z zanyati territory, to be built up to zero. Which Putin vzagali vid peremovini about those, shabs broini sili Ukraine vyhodili zich territory. I've been treated like Russians. Why is it so easy to get married? I've been eating better. And Yaksho Putin to bury the entire territory of the Donetsk region, Vin show zupinit Vin. Me W is not fine rozumimo, show ni, show ta territory, Yaku Putin want by Zahapati, see territory of our country. All of our land, show Putin bud Pradovzuvati Voivodi, right up to that moment, Poki in Nyogo Wist or Pradovzuvati all see. Elvin show off to Trump, Bakish, I can conquer all the territory without everything. It's not bad for me, but the stink was coming. Why am I walking about seem? Right now, Donald, there are reasonable people who have come to you. I recommend the way to Kiev, to accept the mind of a peaceful regulation, from Kiev you do not want. And now it's time for Putin to be upset, so that he can change the mind of a peaceful Vrigulyuvanya. From Patanya, Yake, Zvicheno, me Mali B. Zadati to the Russian president, Yaksho everything is so kind to develop. Navisho Putinu, it is difficult to Zagali to lead Yakis Peremovini. I'm sorry for Putin, why did Ukraine accept Yakis Gidny Umovi? Peaceful Vreguluvanya. Yakvi Razumite, no real vidpovidi na si Patanyami not mayo. That's all cc sile spravenia d'informacji. Putin perfectly rose, Chauvin. Bud zavoyovuvati navit Donetsk region, dosit davgi hour. I see bud vartuvati yoma I people, I see bud vartuvati yoma, I economic nivtrat. I budget sanctions pradovzuvati razvivatia proti rosi in a certain situation. Elvin want to show Vin si robit viklyuchnozi good wool, show most yogo, absolutely not scavit real rozvitok podi. Pavyuzani z. Vivodom of the Ukrainian Vijsk. It's not true, I'm here to do a better meal. From one of the Telegram channels, from the press service of President Putin, there was a text about those who gave a beautiful pass to Trump in front of Yogo Zustrik z Zelensky. Trump can bring Zelensky to Mappy I Zapatati, get into the sense of what, Yaksho Vtrata Donbass Nuniknanoyu. And can Vtratiti Navit Bilsh Sogo. Haggling with Kiev is more than Nemechim. Zelensky, having rewritten Trump's plan with his own words. I now love to speak Russian propaganda with the light hands of his criminalized boss. The first remaining moment of the Kremlin's wyvern crock was filled with all the stink without maps, and the second one. Ale, there's a bad weather Pitania. So you definitely want to reguluvati. Firm vc all robili vikliuchno, in order to conquer the territory of the Donetsk region. You are more in the key. When nichogo not zividi. If this is the case, then this means that you have no more strength for it. Okrim Donetsk region, that th on Donetsk region forces not vistashe, that vi namagedesia parakanati visik ukasnikiv. See istory, show vi vikliuchnozi points are good will you take a fate in the whole process. So I'd say, show me ZU. At once spostarigamo, absolutely obvious Rosvit Podi. Duj similar to that Rosvitok Podi, yak mi vij bachili before the remaining Prisdom Zelenskogo too. Up to the Spoluchenik state, Tilki Todi to Washington. Vi pamutate, show Zelensky Todi namagavsia domovaticia is Trump about the transfer of Ukraine tomahawks. Yaksho be such a transfer really happened. I'm not bachiv pidstav bizati, show so could beauty, yak vi rozamite. Show such a transfer could be stadi serious noeu. A problem for the Russian army, the Russian economy, the Russian naphtha factories, so that it is not possible to bulo vidnovidi. The Russian ports, so that it is not possible to deliver naphtha in them. All see buli be seriosny hit. Ale Putin, yak mi pamutamo, for the heartfelt Rosmovi Saintva Vithafa z Yuri Ushakov, phone Trump. Rospovide American president about Yogo Jenny. Trump read, the stench Dobovlutia about slunt Budapest. Trump VDMOs in Temagawa. And let's patem, if the Zelensky Vij according to the essence of the piss, without result, the Zustrichi poured out an oval cabaret. Putin elegantly forced Trump. For Dopomoga his mintras accordine ref, Russi Sergius Lavrov, that Piyasno sovereign secretarov Polishani statue Marco Rubio. Show on Aden actions Russi out not spiritsia. Well, approximately so, yak see at once to rob the intercessor of Lavrov, Sergei Ryabko. I know everything. To be repaired on a stake. Duj matter of VDS Sogo Kola. Even more importantly, if we could bring Trump to tomorrow's Zustrichi, we would put a peaceful process in such a rank of merit. In a serious vice. Well, of course, tomorrow about the details. The Zustrichi of Trump and Zelensky. About Putin so, Zvicheno, we talked. See Vij Bud tomorrow evening for Kiev hour. Vido Buditsia Zustrik Trump, I Zelensky. Me Zu Zvicheno, will be respected. Check I stitches for Tim, I'll be able to hold on to them. C is such a close analysis of the preparation before the Zustrichi, on the trail of Volodymyr Zelensky to the Kanadi. Yogo Rozmovi with the European leaders. By the way, can I Evropaiska Rozmoa Povtoritsia tomorrow? On Tol, Putina appeared in the so-called command post of Yogo Chergov's Vovnichi statements. Well, I do not seem to be, right now, Okrim Vovnichik statement, Bula Masovana attack New Year on Kiev. On the Inchi Ukrainsky regioni I great Kilkist Kilkiv. Dosi without Svitla, without heat, without water. So show puts not only words demonstrate Godovnosti Trump vaughty further. Be a weasel, write to your channel, friends. Chi, to marvel at the say effer I did not sign, I will be your douche yakni. To the skin, which is not written down, and written down, that you know, that the Miljonic channel is C. Diakuyuchi to your Zusilium, me Zu idimo on the offensive of Uspeki. Put up Padobeki, comment, be a weasel, now we think about the latest Rozvitek Podi, Navkalo Zustrik Zelenskogo. I Trump. And I vid poviv na chi Patanya, Yaki Priishli ped hour of the whole Efiru. Show vas hate bilsh imavernum factor, yak vplin na zakinchenia vieni. Abo sokopnist. Arrange your thoughts. Economica, Zapinka Visk Rosie on the front elit. I have stepped on a lidi Jadna Spotovin, not May, that is why Russia has been transformed into a totalitarian state. Do lidi I do not have the right to vote. Okerm, I want a whole hour agadati, you show naprod puts robot those showbalha, Rosieska Elta. Yak z Federalno Service Bezpika of the Russian Federation. Vin virvlie so-called pardon tisiacha, 990 per shogo rock, if you check. You have played in the apparatny fight at the Communist Party of the same apartment. You have lost control of the entire Radyansky Union, and you could close your own as a result. Vladu Tilki on the territory of the Russian Federation. So, I think, I'm not going to let you in. Those who are trying to get out absolutely believe in their own sweetness. It is possible to say, Svidobakanu Russian people, yak sa sprime, yak rosiu, Radyansky Union de. And firm economic so. I myself Sapinka Visk on the front of the Rosiesk can beauty Obumovleno, Tilki Economica. There will be no pennies for the current budget, for the payment of the army Namansov, everything can be brought to such results. It's true. In principle, the very economic vice on Russia is very difficult to grasp, at once and may have a great significance. If the Sina on NAFTA doubly fell for the Russian Federation, Sina NAFTA Jurals, Vona Maja doubly Mensha, Nij that Sina. Yaka is recorded at the budget. Russian Federation for 2026. Shasti Rek, if Ukraine is famous for the NAFTA Pererabny complex of the Russian Federation. To feed the important food. Is it possible to imagine that the Czech Republic has been left over to the camp of Orban I Fitso? So it is possible. Z1 just cause. From Czech, in principle, help our defenders over the nature of such sami cabinet, that ye in Porsen, Chislauchen. In the Ugric region, Viktor Orban himself, leader of the ultra-right party. In principle, kia positia vid povide ideologicnum nastanovum si partii. The Slovakians have Robert Fico to be in the coalition with the ultra-right. In the Czech Republic, Andrej Babin is known to be in the coalition with the ultra-rightists. In order to save coalitions, it is necessary to vrahovudi interesi coalitions partners. Jak vi rozumiet? I'm in the middle of a plan, madly, every year the Czech Republic knows better in the orbit of Ugorskini, I Slovakini. Until the last hour if in. Ni buv democratic talkie. Liberal order, not everything is perfect, jak vi rozumite. See all electorally powers, all can be united. I am not obovyakovo for sogo oshikuvati chergiva viberiv, can be beauty at any moment of a crisis, roswit podii. Yek priz to posakurgiva viberiv, show at Slovakini, show at Czech, in Ugorskini, 2020s, Shostogo Rock Vibori. Yakikan. Stvoridi seriozni riziki, for zberazenia Vladi Viktor Morbin. So it's not pospashemo. So, the depurchase of me is transferred to Onukiv, Chimi Vzagali si Vikladimo. Golovn Zberagtisia, I want to go to the Yaki Chestini of Ukraine. Well, now I'm waiting for you, I can repeat it. Ukraine may have to ispidi. Pershi ispit si sama zberazenia Ukrainskoy Derzavi. Other ispit si zberazenia Ukrainskoy Derzavi, in the administrative cordons of the Kolishny Ukrainskoyers. The other one will fail. I've been failures by the very logic of the development of the Ukrainian state, until 2014 rock. And I'm talking about it, writing about the last hour of the Russian attack on Georgia, in 2008. Chiyaksho Russia is not attacking us, shvij for everything, the Ukrainian army, Yak Bula is closed, according to the essence. Yak Shmatek Radyanskoy army, I Potomalasia not Yak power structure, but shvij Yak mis robots. Will not fight with the Russian army. Miv Tratimo Krim, I ne Tilki Krim. I forecast 2008 rock, through Kilka Rokiv, literally. Chitko Pidvertivsia. So there is no sensation in the whole world, friends. And I'm absolutely not a singer, so I'm shifting the depurchase to Onukiv. I do not know what to do, if there is a depurchase, for a certain period, I am not sure, Che will not lead the depurchase to collapse. The Ukrainian state. Mi memo pamutati zevidi prostu rich. If there was a depurchase of the territory in Maybit, I see with the fact that in Ukraine the population grew up. Half of the electorate was added up to the mayor, priz before that, to the participants of the elector processes in Ukraine. Become the people that will generations to live in Russia. Развиваться absolutely homo civilization. The voice of these people in principle can put a speck on the isnuvanya of the Ukrainian state for the purchase of the territory. If you do mat, uimi so easy vsip hazbalwia gromadyan. For such reasons, being a democratic power in the European Union, you have mercy. Suchasny hromadyani Ukraini, that these sites will be the mother of the right to Ukrainian hromadyanstvo, on those who put a speck in the history of the Ukrainian people, so I can be tested as a result of the purchase. Well, siege. Realness. It's real. Show Sarawati Oki. Siuk Moldov. Yaksho Bud reintegrated Pridnestrovy, Shvij for everything, Evropейский Vybir Republic of Moldova Zakinchitsia. That show Pridnestrovsky Vyborchy Z passport. Tami Republic of Moldova will vote for the sprouting of the Sili, and without special Zusul on the side of the Kremlin. To turn the orientation of the central part of the country. In the first bic, Tim Bilsh in Moldova, you know, May's half of the sprouted electorate. Me ti memo si pamutati, show me vzagali vyboruemo su power in the situation, if majestic. Part of our vlastnia spivichizniki vzavdi wanted, shab si power not bulo, but shab vona bula satellite of Russia. Yak show vi think, show vina zminala si mood, vi pobashite, yak si not vidbulosia pisliavini. Yak show pobakimo zu pisliavini. See in fact, show. Vibori budit vidbuvaticia on the private parts of the Ukrainian territory. And that Chestina, which has become a platform for the sprouting of electricity, is paid off at once by Russia itself. I'm introducing, right into the principle of the sea payback of the Russian Kilka, Reziv Vistrili Sobi in the foot. ICT require us to know that it is factually necessary to lead a great number of people who are ready to pradavati on the sprouting Sili from the electoral process. The fact put not hoka, dwellers of the sea Hamadani Ukraine, that sna haditsia in Russian, galosuvali on our elections. Vin don't want to be in the morning yak element bedrivu. The Ukrainian state. Vin te si razumi. So at once the firebrand takes the power. And the firebrand does not recreate the new one on the sprouting of the Ped Gaslami in the new territory of the Silist. Because we will be able to turn those to the sea. Yak vashate, yakish metodi visku, akrim udariv on the energy sector of Russia. Ukraine can vikaristavudi for a vice on the fortune-telling power. Chisi all the same, did you fall asleep before us? Why did you fall asleep? What is the Viskovopromislavy complex of Russia? Are you a Pradavzenya Rozmev about Russian activity? Stink not Zakinchilicia on the whole of the European Union itself, the axis of the sea is not Kennet's history. The Jews gave us a penny to pay us reparations, and the me-key reparations are turned around. And Yaksho Rosia will not pay us reparations. The stink can take a penny of Russian assets. That, I think, is a bogato of new possibilities, Akrim Nafthopararigo complex. I Baratba z Viskovo Promyslovim complex, C can be, in addition, I Baratba z transport infrastructure. C te Vazliva rich. Yakvi Razumite, do not date the opportunity to transport your products, so you can get ready, Yakvi Bachite. They were able to hit the ports, I hit the tankers. C te Shastain Visu. Zelensky to Rokizbirov on Constitution Nemezlivosti spent Vyboriv, and at once Vij Id Robot Zepid preparation to plebiscide. So, perhaps, the power is better with the Bazana monarch, and not with the rule of law. Well, I want to tell you, if the president of Ukraine is engaged in a referendum and elections, not to that. If he wants so much, and the president has received the staff to talk about it for the whole hour. Zelensky is right here, if you want to do everything, then show Trump your goodwill. I'll tell you time. Smut power now show Trump, show constructivni me G, and Rosani not ye. Well, in addition to that, the same thing, whether a referendum is held, it may be a political POSCO for Putin. Then it will be necessary to feed Niskilki. Putin is ready to take care of stability in Ukraine, a truce, I'm like a fool, I'm like a plebiscite there. We'll see, if we see, we'll see. We'll see in 30 to 60 days, until we turn around. So don't pospashe with such vikliks and visnevkami, that's why the robot is politic. Well, as a matter of principle, so, be a referendum. That 100 on any Razglednika be power territorialno closet Ukraine. Vin Zabaroneni by the law itself about the referendum is absolutely right. Yaks robiti so, Shab versus Protsu, what Protsu in the state bodies in Ukraine, did not they enslave the state? These are two important officials. The first Chinnik, see uspishna robot anti-corruptione organov, I see those, show vij vidbuvetsia. Other see those, show reach people, yaki protsut on durzhavnai posada, may it in razi beauty bilshimi, ni people. Yaki rob them 4 robots on these posada. C is absolutely not a popular topic in Ukraine, Ayla require rozumiti, show me vigliademo yak povni idioti. If I'm going to pay, umovno, capex to people, I'm going to be paid with milliards of dollars. I'm not without them milliards of nothing, I'm not going to be able to, if I stink on these capex. Siege triba beauty naivnimi. Ayla Ukrainchi Bollyut, beauty chimi naivnimi. Stink factually legalize corruption. The stink will not be washed down, because the minister Pishov Protsuvati ministrum, on so smishni groshi. If you are in a private business, you can zrobiti dozens of times more. What do you want there? Razvivati power. Chi vin purely razumi, show vin siv on financial flows. It, to vimigai of small powers, salary resumiut, it, to tudi idit. I'm going to tell C people, stink you say, oh, stink all one thing will be crusty. Zvicheno, zavsdi no people, yaki all one will be crusty. Ale, the system is effective, yaka be people guaranteed may button vertically, yaksho vin id for the service of the state. In fact, I spent the whole hour saying, without a profession of politics, a profession of state service, nothing will happen. Without the power of Ukraine to professionalism, nothing will happen. Ukraine has suffered a lot of deprofessionalizia. And in the Radyansk rocks te buli suspilstvo imitovanih professionaliv, paramostsiv ugromadyansky vieni bilshevitsky. Poki ne Buddha povagi du professionalismu, Ukraine Buddha krokuvati u prirvu. I have already said, according to the same tractor. You will be Vitieguvati for the Vuka, and we will come to Vibori, we will destroy everything. We will be able to fuck again in the Pliru. Ayla Durzhavna service may be formed like this, Shab Ludina, Yaka Tudi Pride, did not want to do anything. Shab Vona Mala Chitki Garanti. Income, Social Security guarantees, Shab Vona Rozumila, show CT, shows Zabezpeket your life. I Shab Vona treasured her robot, and did not think, show Vona today come 4 days, it's good, it's worth a penny. Shab Potom live perfectly come 10 times, and forget about the power. Service about Q Ukraine. I'm afraid, so I'm afraid, I'm afraid. Chimoj beauty, show Rishenya pro Vilna economic new zone, Vij prienyato, that such an emphasis to be shy on guarantees, Ivid budovi. Shab pomakshidi C4 people. Bo inaksh ki rozmovi, not mayat jad nogo sensu. I don't know, chi? I take a picture about the Vilna economic zone, Ayla, I want to tell you again, because the picture about the Vilna economic zone does not mean that Ukraine is being treated as a citizen of the Donetsk region of its territory. What will be the zone on the territory of the Donetsk region of Ukraine? C is sovereign. On the territory of the Ukrainian order, there is a president, I'm not going to enter because of the drive. It is difficult to hold a referendum because it is not fed to the territorial integrity, but fed to the regime on a specific territory. Ayla C rivno those, show not vlashtovu Roziu, that show Rozia want, Shab Ukraine. Inchi krani viznali Roziasku federatsiu at once is Donakini. Lugansk, Kherson, Zaporizhzhia regions, Crimea, and Sevastopol. To that I've Zagali not Rozumia, to that Rozia, for me it is not clear. Maybe, I know, I'm looking at the whole Patania, maybe I'm looking at the Yakas in the economic zone, and not at those where Ukraine has not just brought its own territory to the Donetsk region, but has become aware that the Donetsk People's Republic is at the warehouse of Russia, Russian Federation. And what are the motivations for Trump's ability to change Putin's mind, so that he may be content with being a strong economic zone, demilitarized? Why C may so beauty? In Mina on Sagodny day, no so for this reason, and answers on C questions. Yaka you have. Budum chekati razvitku podi, padivamosia, shov zagali tomorrow bud on zustrik Trump I Zelensky I chibud zagali shas real. Diakuya, druzi, shovai buli in somu ifirizimi. Be a weasel, subscribe to the Say channel. Be a weasel, bet like, comment, be a weasel. Koristites instrumentami Pitrimki Sogo channel, I Obovyakovo dopomagate the Ukrainian army. Yaka Zalashitimitsia the head guarantor of Ukrainian sovereignty, in the coming hard times, I would say, Istori Vitsivanya Ukraine. Paramoga why the world, and then become.